Hey guys, welcome to this week's Sum Up. I know it's been several weeks, and I want to start by giving a shout out to literally all of you because our math department has been killing it lately. You guys have done such a good job. I feel like we've really settled into the year. You know, our FastBridge scores from last year to this year show that you guys are just doing an amazing job, and I want to make sure you know how thankful I am to be working for you and just all the hard work that you guys put in. So today's quick video is going to be over some questions, 5 easy questions that you can ask to any kid at any situation, regardless of the module, regardless of the topic, regardless of the lesson, regardless of what you're doing that day, whether it's Mathy or iReady or an actual lesson from the book. These 5 questions can fuel some thinking rather than just jumping in and helping them when they raise their hand or when you're walking around. So sometimes when we're walking around, it's really awkward to start that conversation, especially if the answer is wrong. So instead of just walking up and being like, hey, this answer is wrong, we better recheck that one. These are some questions that you can ask to kind of break the ice and get them being the ones doing the thinking. Okay, so again, we want to take all the responsibility off of us, put it onto them, and make them be accountable for their thinking and their learning. So again, 5 super easy questions to ask any kid, anytime, any module, any topic, any class. Here we go. All right, so the first great question that you can ask is, what is the problem asking you to find? This is a great question if a kid is stuck at some point, or if you're walking around and they raise their hand and they want your help, but they want you more just to tell them the answer rather than to actually give them help. So if you think about this, by asking what is the problem asking you to find, this is going to tell you if the kid has actually read the problem or tried anything yet. This is also going to tell you what their level of understanding about the problem is. So if they can tell you what the problem is asking them to actually figure out, that shows you they do have some understanding, and that gives you a little bit more to work with, and then you can ask further questions from there. The second great question to consider is, what have you tried so far? So this tells you if they have actually attempted to do anything with the problem. This also tells you where their understanding and misconceptions are. So if you think about it, by asking what have you tried so far, if they can tell you what they've tried, then eventually they're going to get to the point where they tried something that's incorrect if the answer is wrong. Sometimes it's hard for kids to say, my point of confusion is this step right here. I really get stuck after I do this. But by telling you what they've tried, you can see where that point of confusion actually is in their work. And then that's a place where you can even say, oh, so it looks like you're stuck at this point. Is that true? And let them kind of dialogue about where specifically they're stuck. So it's going to give you a good place to start from. Okay, the next question is a great question I heard Shalane asking in her room. She asked probably 2 or 3 kids in the short time I was in there. How did you get your answer? So instead of coming up to a kid and being like, that answer's wrong, asking, oh, how did you get that answer, and having that dialogue, even if the answer is correct but a student hasn't shown any work, or if you just wonder if they actually understand things, ask them, how did you get that answer? So this is going to tell you if they understand the actual process behind the learning or if they just got the answer somehow. This is also going to tell you where their understanding and misconceptions are, again, like our previous question. So if they can explain how they got their answer, even if it's incorrect, eventually they're going to get to a point in their explanation where they did something wrong, and that gives you a starting point and a jumping off point of where you can assist them further. The next really simple question you could ask is, what could you try differently? So by asking them this question, this is going to allow them to be the ones responsible for solving the problem and solving their own problems. So what could you try differently also allows you to see where their level of processing is at. Do they understand that there usually is multiple ways to try and solve a problem? Or, based off of their incorrect way of solving it, what should they try this next time that might be a little bit easier? So again, what could you try differently? And then our last great, easy, simple question that you can ask any kid at any time is, does your answer make sense? So we did the standards for mathematical practice with Daryl the other day in PD, and this type of phrasing came up in 3 or 4 different segments that we covered. So does your answer make sense? This will allow the kid to become better mathematical thinkers if we can get them to get an answer and be able to judge if that answer makes sense. I know as a teacher, this was one of the most frustrating things, is a kid would need help, or I'd go around, I'd be monitoring, and I'd see a wrong answer. And the answer is like no possible way that could ever make sense. So we'd have to have those discussions about, if I add these 2 numbers together, can I get a smaller value? Or if I'm solving, does this actually make sense for what we're talking about? So this is a really good question that you can ask, and it allows you to see where their thinking's at really quickly and really easily. So to backtrack and to cover what we just talked about, are 5 easy, powerful questions. Number 1, what's the problem asking you to find? Number 2, what have you tried so far? Number 3, how did you get your answer? Number 4, what could you try differently? And number 5, does your answer make sense? Easy questions that you can ask that are going to get them being responsible for their thinking, so you're not the one jumping in and saving them every single time. Asking questions, getting them to take some responsibility, okay? Okay, guys, that's going to wrap up our Sunday Sum Up over 5 easy, powerful questions that you can be asking your kids to get them thinking a little bit deeper. If you have any questions about the questions, feel free to ask me those questions, and I'd love to help out or give any feedback in any way. Again, thank you guys for all that you do. Our math department is awesome, and it's because of you guys and your hard work and everything that you do to put into it. Have a great Sunday, get some rest, and let's have an awesome week this week.